Good afternoon. A quick hello from everybody. I made it very clear this is just a very specific topic, very non-educational. All right. I don't plan on this taking more than 25 minutes, plus any questions you guys have. I'm willing to stay here as long as you want to answer questions. This is just kind of a heartfelt conversation about the concept of learning to trade. Let me just go to the first slide because as I start talking, I'm just going to duplicate what I just did. I just threw this together in the last hour or so since the market closed, so forgive me if there's any problems or issues, but it's really just what I wanted to say to you for the most part. Just a little outline here you can look at. Discussion about learning to trade. Learning a DTS, learning on your own, or learning from somewhere else. Do not attend this if this does not interest you, etc. Why did I get you together here? Well, over the last 6-12 months, I sent a lot of emails with comments, and I put out a fair amount of emails, and most of them are educational type things, ranging from I sent a guy trading, a cartoon guy with a devil and an angel over his shoulders. You guys get that? The devil and the angel guy? One person saying, take the money. The other person saying, you're not making money doing that. Did you guys get that? Yeah, okay. I got an unusually low response to that. Normally I get a lot of response to stuff like that. I got a very low response to that, especially because he even asked the question, there must be a better way to handle this. There'll be a follow-up to that. But and some of them are full-fledged, full-blown educational emails that go on forever about different topics. And then some, of course, are reminders about what we offer at DTS in terms of services, trading room, letter, and educational. And I'm not great at business at this, doing this. I love trading. I love teaching people that. And there certainly are all kinds of defects in probably the structure of DTS. Some I didn't realize. I didn't realize how few people read the first email. Like when I send an email a second time, like the same email, I've done this a few times, like back to back, it's like more than double the people read the second one. I mean, even including the first one. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's an unusual result. It's like 20, double the people, new people read it than the first time. I don't know why that is. Something about the second email. I've never noticed that personally when I get stuff. I don't notice if I get a second email, but I think even when you read them, the message doesn't always come through. I think I'm a fairly good writer, communicator, maybe not, I don't know. But I just want to bring up some of the key points here. And the theme here is simply just to educate you about getting an education. Alan's here. It's simply to educate you about getting an education. So some of the comments are not communicating well, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to talk about who does this apply to, this talk tonight. What are some of the pros and cons of learning on your own? What are the pros and cons of a bigger company? And what are the pros and cons of DTS? Yeah, who does this apply to? It doesn't apply to somebody who is, as I say, just somebody who's been passively investing in the market since they were 20 years old and never going to consider taking money out till they retire. And you know what? I applaud that. That is really a great way to do things. And I mentioned on my first podcast, the first podcast I did was kind of about that person to say, hey, if this is what you've done, I think that's great anyway. Go do your other things in life and don't worry about it. The problem is that only applies to about 6% of the world right now. In other words, there's a 94% chance that you have not been just putting money away since day one, and there's a very good chance you do care about what's happening to your money because you're not quite on track for retirement or to make the income you want. So if you are not on track, and time's not on your side, and you're more active in your long-term accounts, this absolutely applies to you because you can really mess up your long-term accounts if you're doing them. Again, if you just have stuff put away or you gave it to some guy years ago and you're happy, you're not here listening to me even, right? But if you are trying to be more active and catch up, I'm not saying that's bad if you know what you're doing, but it is bad if you don't know what you're doing. If you swing trade or anything similar, if you're that active that you're every few days getting positions, it's critical that you understand the pros and cons of learning to trade. And if you day trade, obviously, for extra income, or if you're looking at day trade full time, then it applies to you. So basically, it applies to anybody unless you're simply passively in the market, don't ever care, just going to sit there until you retire, which I applaud. It just doesn't likely going to be anybody here listening to me. A side note before I continue, I just want to bring this out immediately because I don't bring it out anywhere else. That if you want to learn to trade the market, there is a need to learn it. And this is just from the school of common sense. I use that term a lot, the school of common sense. There's so many things where the smartest, I talk to sometimes some of the smartest people are obviously smart people. They're wealthy and they want to learn to do this, and they say the stupidest things. It just common sense. I don't care if you've never been in the market before or not. Do you really think like there is some magic piece of software that just makes you money and just you have it and for some reason it works for you. It's insane to think that. Common sense would tell you that's not the case. There's no magic strategy. I love these emails that say, learn the new strategies for 2025. There's no such thing. Does somebody email you and say, oh, learn the new way to speak English in 2025? I mean, when you learn how to trade, it's timeless. There is no new strategy. And what I always emphasize when you learn how to read a chart, the word strategy is de-emphasized. When you learn how to read a chart, you look at a chart and you say, oh, there it is. And you don't have to put a name on it. We do, because to teach, I have to communicate. But this concept of magic strategies doesn't exist. So there's no magic software. There's no magical TI. That's technical indicator. There are like 1,200 technical indicators. If any one worked, yada, 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 yada. There's just no magical shortcut. And that is just common sense. You all know that if you think about it, right? Listen to what you're saying when you say something different. It makes no sense at all. The bottom line is this: if there was a valid shortcut, I would use it. I could still do what I do. It's not like I have to sign off on teaching people if I decide to incorporate a technical indicator or some other thing. They're not only not valid, independent ways to trade, they're not even helpful. That's how bad it is. And then people ask about AI. You know, I've been around now for 24 years. Automated trading, Paul, it's going to kill everything. Program trading, oh, that's the end of the world. High frequency trading machines, we're all doomed. Algorithms, now AI. Nothing ever changes. Because it's like if you have AI, it's AI against AI. There always has to be losers, right? This is the bottom line to it. You can't have a system where there's no losers. For every winner, there's a loser, or for every dollar won, there's a dollar lost in a static market. And that'll never change. And you simply have to decide if you want to be one of the few winners or one of the many losers. If anybody ever has a shortcut that works, please tell me. Not 24 years, but for a long time I've been asking, it doesn't exist. So I just want to get into that first, to just confirm what the smart part of you already knows. There is no magic shortcut. There can't be, right? Funny, I never get an argument on that. Let me just back up a second. What we're going to talk about here today, who does it apply to? We just did that. Pros and cons of learning on your own. Is a bigger company a better choice? What are the pros and cons of learning at DTS? You know where I'm going to go with my final answer, right? I mean, you know that. But that's not my point. I want to explain to you how I get there and why and what the pluses and minuses really are. I enjoy doing this and been producing successful traders for a long time, but I just wanted to have an honest talk to you about the pros and cons of each, because I feel a lot of intelligent people don't use even a modicum of common sense sometimes in financial decision. However, the goal is not to sit here and talk you into DTS. You know I could do that or whatever, and yes, that's the subtle point of it all, but that's not where we're going to go or what I'm going to push. As a matter of fact, what I push to people and always have is that I don't want anybody signing up unless you really feel you're ready, for a couple reasons. I mean, I take pride in doing this, and sure, on one side of me, oh gee, it's nice somebody signed up, but on the other side, if you're not ready, you become a pain in my side because you're not ready. The people that are ready, they're wonderful students. They're there, they absorb what they're supposed to absorb, and I feel great about it. And, you know, vast majority become successful, or at least as far as I know they do. I don't get to see people's personal accounts, but it's all wonderful. And if you're not that person or you're not ready, you're going to be flustered and not doing things right and taking shortcuts. And I don't want that. So I don't want you signing up unless you feel you're ready, not just financially, but also time-wise. It's not a lot of time you got to devote. You can certainly do it part-time, but you have to make the commitment to go through what you need to go through to learn, because there is no shortcut. And it's not hard. It's really not hard. All right, pros and cons of learning on your own. Let's go to number one first here before I run out of time already. Pros and cons of learning on your own. Number one, if you're successful, self-satisfaction is great. There are two types of people, sort of the XY thing. And one type of person is a person that likes kind of doing things for themselves and learning for themselves. And by the way, that's me. That is me. You know, I like that. I'm going to tell you my story in just a minute, which I don't tell all that often, but maybe you've heard it. And it's nice to be that way, and it's nice to, you know, remodel your own house or wherever it is, because a lot of tasks are fairly learnable, and you can get pretty good at them pretty quick. But trading is a different thing, and it's just difficult. Another pro about learning on your own is there's no upfront costs. No upfront costs. What are the cons? See, this is not a mistake here. That is a guy who's standing on his head, and you'll know why in just a second. Let me give you my story real quick, because I haven't done this in a long, long time, and it may be helpful to some of you. I was 98, I guess, 97. I sold a business I had, and it was not a great thing. It wasn't like, hey, yeah, time to retire at an early age. But it was, a chunk of money, and it took a little bit of time off, and then decided, well, what to do, because I did have to keep doing some stuff, and really kind of fumbled trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I ran across the concept of trading. Now, I had never been involved in the market at all. I never owned a stock other than like a stock purchase plan through my paycheck at a company I was at. Never really was involved with it much. I remember that stock purchase plan I had, I went into that pretty heavy, and I remember hardly even looking at it, just almost like every 6 months, and I look at it 1 6-month period like, okay, here's what I started with, and then 6 months later I'm like, wow, this is really making a lot of money, and then 6 months later it was back to what I started with. So that kind of stuck in the back of my head. And then I heard this guy talking on TV. The name is so old now you may not even know it. I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but his name was Wade Cook. But he said something to me. I was driving around. He said, people are happy to get a 10% return in the market at the end of the year. And yet, do you know the market goes up, most stocks go up and down 10% every single week. And that kind of rang home with me because I had just, done this thing where I made all this money on the stock that, I didn't invest in. It was just stock purchasing. And then 6 months later, it's all gone. I'm like, well, yeah, this is kind of stupid. So got involved, went to his thing, and I don't think you have to have a good BS detector to know that this was just scam city from top to bottom. I don't know if you know the name Wade Cook. It's getting pretty old now. He was this option guy, pagers and options and all this stuff. So I never signed up. But what it did was, and I remember sitting there and people running up to buy his thing, whatever it was. And I was like, okay, this is stupid. But what it did do was it did spark my interest. And then I went off, and here's my story. I decided to learn on my own. I decided to learn on my own. So I actually got involved in options first, and I read a book. It's still on my shelf. Steve McMillan, Options is a Strategic Investment. I read that book is like the size of War and Peace, and I read the whole thing 2.5 times through completely. So I understood the material, and was very, very good with options. That was my start, and I started doing this in 97, whatever it was, shortly after, or maybe beginning of 98, and things are going along pretty well. Now, what does that mean? When you're trading on your own and you ask the person, how are you doing? And they say, pretty good. What does that mean? Translation, just like real estate, house with a lakefront view, you have like a puddle 3 houses down. What does that mean when somebody says they're doing pretty well? Yeah, if you say you're doing pretty well, an honest person, it probably means you're breaking even or losing something. And that's where I was. I was breaking even doing options, but it didn't bother me particularly. And then there was a day that I had a larger than I ever wanted to position open. I remember they were in oil stocks. I think I was short. I don't remember. It was through options. And they went against me, throughout this week. And then on Friday, something happened and everything reversed and they came back and they were break even. And this made me happy, of course. So the kind of like that email I sent out with the devil on angel on your shoulders, part of me said, okay, you got all your money back, get out of these things. It's Friday afternoon, get out. They weren't expiring that day. They were expiring like in a week or two. And part of me said, well, wait a minute. You got in these to make money. Well, why are you such a chicken that you're getting out just because you were down and now you're going to make money? So I said, okay, well, to myself, I said, okay, well, good comment. Let's go look at the charts and just figure out where they're going, right? So I pulled out and looked at the relevant stocks, and I looked at them on daily charts and hourly charts and weekly charts. And then I turned the monitor upside down, i.e. the picture over here. And then I stood on my head, and then I stood sideways, and I took a walk. What was my problem? What was my problem? Trying to figure out what to do. Why was I turning the monitor upside down to figure out what to do? You can say it. I'm telling you the story for a reason. You can say it. I was totally clueless. Yeah. When the pressure was on, when the pressure's not on, you're making a little money, you're breaking even. It's okay, I know what I'm doing. It'll come around. And when the pressure's really on, and there's bigger money on, you got to look and say, you know what? I'm looking at these charts. Yeah, I'm looking at these charts, and I was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So that Monday, 3 days later, I signed up for a course, which at the time was really like the only course you could take. This is a long time ago. The course, I would have to say, was the place I ended up eventually working for, but it was a fraction of the information that I teach. Back then that's all there was. But what it did was it got me on the right foot. It got me structured. And to me, I never would have made it any other way because I would have just been floundering, right? That's all it was. Yeah, well, yeah, well, it's not a bad thing to justify you want to stay in the trade because really sometimes you should. But the question is, I didn't know if I should. That was the problem. I couldn't justify it because I didn't know what I was doing. So I relay that to you because I feel in life I've found that I'm not much different than anyone else. So we all think and feel the same way, and maybe some of you have been in the same position. And when things are coasting along, like maybe you're in a bull market and you're buying a stock here and there, and you're making a little money, you're breaking even, that's good. But all of a sudden one day it's going to come where you're going to gasp and go, I don't have a clue what to do. And you don't want to be in that position if you're handling your own money. You need to know ahead of time. So that's why I'm telling you that story. The other story I have to tell you about learning on your own, and this is kind of a sad story to me. I have offered since I started DTS, and I still continue to offer, that if somebody wants to learn on their own, I would help them to some extent. I'm not going to teach them, obviously, because if you want to learn, sign up for the program. But I said, hey, you want to send me some charts, and I'll review them and tell you if you're on the right track, what's wrong, that type of thing. And over a period of time, I ended up with about 40 or 50 people who, had contacted me, and some were kind of regular. They were very courteous. Nobody ever abused the thing. And some were not as regular. But I did save their emails because obviously, to me, from truly wanting to help people, but also maybe the business side of things, hey, down the road, if these people are struggling, they may end up signing up for something. So, obviously that's the side benefit to me. If you make it, great. If not, what do you want to do? Well, what happened was I decided one day to email everybody, a mass email, and say, hey, how's it going? I've been helping you and trying to learn. And this really surprised the hell out of me. It really did. Nobody was making it. Everybody had moved on. Nobody made it. And there were a handful of people, to be honest with you, I really thought they were going to do it because I was like, I'm getting some intelligent emails, a couple of good trades, but there's so many moving parts, everybody fell apart. So there's the biggest con, is that I literally don't know anybody to learn to trade totally on their own. I'm sure there are somewhere, but I mean, you're just talking about a low percentage thing to do because there is just I don't want to phrase this the wrong way and scare you because you learn it quickly, but there is just a lot to learn. One of the things everybody says when they take the course with me is, I could not believe there's so much to learn. I don't want to make this about me and DTS. I just want to continue to give you the pros and cons. So that's the huge con. And all I ask of you is this, just caring for you and knowing how treacherous this industry can be, is that if you're learning on your own, is that please really limit your risk to what you're doing, monitor what you're doing, and if you're not improving, just like anything else in your life, just tell me the plan. Don't tell me, I'm just saying theoretically, what's your plan? How are you going to get better? Or are you just going to continue to dribble away money for the next 5 years? I talk to so many people that have been losing money for 5, 6, 7 years, and they just keep doing it. And they finally say, oh, yeah, I need some help. Well, why didn't you ask a long time ago? It's the pride in people. So there's pros and cons on your own. Let me know if you have any questions on that. The next one is learning from a bigger company. I probably wanted to do tonight's presentation because of something that I put in the email about Black Friday. Let me tell you that story about Black Friday. Somebody here at DTS who's a senior member at DTS, program member, doing well, trading well, communicates with me regularly, and even has brought people to DTS because this person likes it so much, emailed me and said, are you, just for fun, are you doing something for Black Friday? He's already in everything. He didn't care personally, but just wondering. And I said, well, no, usually don't, but I was thinking about maybe something just on one of the services or something. And then he follows up with an email. The email was from some company, doesn't matter who, and it had this line in it. And this is the line right here. This is an excerpt from the email. But the line that he had in there was from a company having a big Black Friday sale. And this is what they're offering, 90% off of their most popular courses. And that's just really straight. Now, obviously, he sent this to me. I emailed him back. I said, are you encouraging me to do a Black Friday sale, or are you making fun of this company? And in so many words, he said, well, yeah, I'm making fun of the company, of course. And also, in so many words, and I don't have it in front of me, he basically said, it just makes me feel good about you and your integrity, that you don't do stuff like this. But what really got me was, look at that line, 90% of all the most popular courses. Just what I said, this is the email. I guess I could stop there. The line above, to me, is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me, not even being part of the company, just being in the industry. For the company and for anyone who continue to read the email. And you know that it's not the 90% that's the part. I mean, obviously, if you're selling education at 90% off, I mean, what's it worth? It's the other part, all the most popular courses. How many courses are there? Should I just buy the most popular ones? How many do I need to learn to trade? And if I need less than the total courses you're offering, then what are those? Why are the other courses offered? Do you get the mental process I'm having trouble with here? I mean, how can you be saying, I really have a desire to have you learn how to trade, and then here's an unlimited number of courses, and here's a sale on some of them. It's like there's no guidance at all to get you to learn to trade, and that's why my philosophy from day one has been the opposite. It's either make up your mind if you want to learn or not. If you want to learn, I have one program, one price, that's it. Unlimited help for me, a home study program, everything, live courses, the whole thing. Because my goal is to get you to learn to trade. If somebody tells you they're charging you to come back to another seminar, it's like, well, where's that commitment to get you to learn? That's a commitment for them to make money. So I think there should be a fair price you pay to learn. It's a lot of my time, but that's what I do. And the opposite of that is what the proper sales model is. And I've had so many people contact me that want to be like my salesperson, because I'm not doing it right. You got to have the sales funnel, and you got to start off selling a course that's really cheap, that sucks people in. And then, of course, once they start doing that and they struggle, well, then you sell them the next course. Then you sell them, in the prior company I was at, that's exactly what they did. And there's just no end to the courses. And there's never the line where you say, okay, when do I learn to trade, right? And there probably is no line. It's just a bunch of hodgepodge courses thrown together. And that's why you can say 90% off our most popular courses, and then you still won't know what you're doing. That actually was my motivation to get here in front of you. I just really explained that in detail, how ridiculous that concept is. So moving on. I don't want to emphasize this too much. Obviously, before DTS, I was many years with a big company. It was a good company. I was an employee there. I was not an owner, so I did not have control over a lot of things. I think they were good-hearted and for a big company trying the best they could to make people learn. But there are a lot of negatives about a big company. You're learning from somebody, you'll learn from somebody, you'll learn from somebody. There's no question that people teaching aren't probably actually doing what they teach. My biggest motto saying here is that I do what I teach what I do, period. There's no in-between person. And you're never going to learning from somebody who's regurgitating material written by somebody else and they're not even trading it, right? It's just never going to happen. Never. I've seen people teaching courses that can't answer questions, basic questions. They stumble. And okay, we know the rest of that. There's little pride in teaching. Students are often involved with different teachers, quick run through, etc. A lot of filler material, worthless material. Again, one of the advertising things is, so many hours of instruction. Yeah, okay, well, if 80% of it is worthless garbage, then why are you even teaching? Because a lot of it is. I told you I have several more courses on my computer I could teach if I wanted to. But all that information together wouldn't amount to 5% more knowledge, and it would just confuse and cloud the issue. You need to learn what you need to learn to teach, period. You think longevity is a great feature in a bigger company, but it's not. When I was with, just kind of sold out and folded up. People got screwed. It just is. They come and go. It doesn't matter. And I try and overdo it the other way to say, hey, yeah, it's just me, but you know what? I will give you notice. I expect the services at DTS to be around for a long time because I'm going to be doing that. And someday there will be an end to me live teaching. But I've also told people that I'm guaranteeing everybody there's always going to be a year notice and most likely 18 months. And we're not on that notice. So I'm just being upfront with everybody. And that is a better longevity concept you'll get from any big company. I don't care who they are. Pros and cons of DTS, just real quick, and we'll finish it up, see if you have any questions. That was the gist of what I wanted to get through, by the way. If you want to leave now, that's fine. That was the thrust I wanted to go through. It's just the main points that careful on your own, don't lose money, don't do it till you're ready. And if you're ready, I really think if you're ready that DTS is the right place to be. Big companies, they just don't have a good success rate. They can't because they're big companies and their focus is to make money, period. Pros and cons. Pros, if there's one statement, is simply be my commitment to do what's necessary to make sure. You may want to hear about the guarantee thing. Do what's necessary to make sure you learn how to trade. No one has ever asked about it. In all this time I've been doing this, get ready for a question. I'm going to ask you a question. And all the time I've been doing this, nobody has ever asked me, Paul, will you give me a money back guarantee? Number one, I put on the website, if you look at the DTS homepage, so if you go to the homepage and you scroll down, nobody probably ever does this because it's way down there, testimony warning. If you read that warning down there, I'm not going to read it to you, but it's just down there. If you read that warning, somewhere it says that, Paul, will you offer a guarantee? And I'd say, oh yeah, I'll offer you a guarantee like Harvard does. When you graduate Harvard, they guarantee that you're going to make $300,000. Oh, wait a minute. No, they don't guarantee you that. And the line I say there is, I wouldn't guarantee that you, whoever you are, can walk and chew gum at the same time. I have no idea who you are. I wouldn't guarantee anything that you can do. I guarantee I'll teach you everything you need to know. And number two, here's the other answer that I have for you is, you want a guarantee? I will match any company's guarantee out there. Anyone's. You want a money back guarantee? I will match any company's guarantee. Any guarantee you get from a company, here's your question. What is the clause in it going to say? Give me the clause that'll be in any guarantee. And I know this because at my prior company I was with, we sat for hours discussing this. And I think we had it. I don't remember. I think we actually had a money back guarantee at one point. But there is a line that goes into the money back guarantee. Nobody has ever been paid back on a money back guarantee. What's the line that goes in? You're trading, you're learning to trade. Company says money back guarantee, you learn how to trade. What's the magic line that goes in there? The magic line is, we guarantee blah, 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 as long as you follow exactly what we teach you. As long as we follow what we teach you, right? Guess what? I don't care what trade you take. I could take the best 5 trades I've ever had in my life, and if you presented them to me and said, find something wrong with this, I could find something wrong. So no matter what you did, there'd always be something wrong. There's always some flaw in the trade. So if somebody took a bunch of trades and they say, hey, I want my money back, this isn't working. Show me the trades. Oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. So that's the money back guarantee thing. It's just a spoof in trading. And as you can imagine, like I say on the website, I guarantee I'll show you what you need to know. But what you do with that information, the discipline you have, how you apply it, I wouldn't guarantee anybody can walk and chew gum at the same time. And you know what? It's not for everyone. It's not. I mean, there are people that don't have the structure to trade properly. There are people that don't have the discipline to trade properly. You can learn. I don't think there's anybody that is not able to learn what you need to learn. It's not hard. I mean, it is 5th grade education, 5th grade brain power that's needed. I don't mean to be insulting, but you can't tell me it's not. It's all that's needed. As a matter of fact, for a lot of things, it's easier than you think. Because as you know, if you've heard me talk at all, you could care less about the economy, you could care less about fundamentals, all that good stuff, because all of that is in a chart if you understand what's going on. I didn't know if I want to put this in there or not, and I don't feel like doing it now. I sent this out a while ago because it's something I was kind of proud of, but I kind of hated sending it, and I'm just going to give you, if you want to read this, you can read it. This is an old email that went out. Feel free to read it if you want to, but I get the compliment a lot that I really appreciate about just the integrity of DTS. Since we're on this topic, I want to advise you again that if you're not sure what to do, I advise you to sit back and chill. Don't go running out to sign up for something. One of the advantages you have at DTS is, as you know, the free stuff page, and or if you become a platinum member, you have a wealth of information there where not only to learn stuff, but to learn me. If you want to sign up for a trading room or something, who cares? Sign up, you don't like it, you quit, no big deal. But if you're going to sign up for a training program, you got to like your mentor, or it's not going to work. So this gives you a chance to get to know me, because the events you see here that are presented by me, it's exactly how I'm teaching the course. And and you have a lot of other ways to be able to learn as well. Small company plus and minuses, I already did most all of this. One of the things I really like, and we only do it once every seminar cycle, is the Practical Application and Review Day, PARD. That's what that stands for. And what I do on that day is I actually go through and, the standard one, I take trades that I've done and say, look, here's what you learned in the manual when we got together last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, whatever it was. Here's how I explained it. Here's an actual trade that used it. And that's where people start going, oh, wow, my gosh, I really get it now. I think it's important because you only learn so much sitting in the classroom. You pick up more going off on your own, and then you kind of tie it all together with that. So that's something I like a lot. As I mentioned, another pro of DTS is simply you never, ever spend another penny if you decide to sign up. People who sign up early that added to the program were the options course, the whole study, home study program, continuous additions to home study. You never, ever, nobody ever, probably people here from the summer program, nobody ever has been asked to pay anything more, regardless of what it is, and you get to continue to study, for like forever. I mean, forever is not forever, but there's no limit to the number of retakes you can take on the live courses, to the amount of time you can sit in front of the home study. There's no limits on anything because it's very simple. My goal is I want you to learn to succeed, to learn how to trade, to succeed at trading, period. Enjoy this. I don't offer lifetime memberships because I don't want the burden or pressure of someday if I decide to retire to say, oh, what about my lifetime membership? So I don't even offer that. That's just an honest, upfront thing. And just thought process wise, I just want you to understand, sometimes people think I'm, really busy or something. My trading I do in the morning, I'm done at 10:30 typically. I'll come back to check on things a couple times. Some work I do, to keep DTS running an hour a day or something, and then time I spend following up with seminar students and answering emails. I'm pretty free, I consider myself quasi-retired sort of in a sense. So I have plenty of time, and I devote my time to helping people who need the help to learn to trade. Some people I don't hear from much. Some people I hear from fairly regularly, and I just love it when I have people who are just following the program, they're checking in, and here's a trade, and I get back to them, and they're like, oh my gosh, wow, thank you. I see what I did wrong there, and that's how you improve. You probably know the routine about what there is in the whole seminar program. Let me just take a moment and ask you if there's any questions. That's the most important thing. And I will actually give you a couple of links here. These are, we kind of made a different page. This is just a simple page, sort of, for the seminar program. And there's a link on there to click for more detail. So, it's kind of a two-part process, because it kind of made these for people who are new and didn't want to blow them away with all the detail on the detail page. So the home study seminar program, it's all the same program. It's home study is part of the seminar program. Questions, comments? Next Thursday is actually going to be something I added to the program. This is in addition to the program, was the summary days. So normally the seminar program, it's on home study. The home study is actually 110% of the live classes. The home study is better than live classes. Live classes, 3 Saturdays in a row is the typical procedure. And before the first Saturday is the intro class on that Friday. I added to the program, a super Saturday where I'm doing all 3 courses in one day. So it's kind of a great review day for people who went through it several times. It also could be a great first time through for somebody who's taken the home study already. So next week that's happening. It's the last thing for this year. Thursday is the intro class, and the day after, 2 days after Saturday, is a 1 day. So it's a great week to sign up if you're thinking about it. You got time off over the holidays. You got the home study. You have a 1 day whip through class, and then in January we'll get back to the full program. Questions, comments? I think I'm done talking. Said what I wanted to say. Felt like I left a few things out, but close enough. All right, good night, everybody.